reforms.
Is his party going to agitate for political reforms rather than an election? Or it is now preparing for an election? So sometimes dense people get platform and they sound bright. But when you interrogate them, they are really very dense.
How are you prepared to handle that situation?
I'll be very brutal when that time comes. To whoever wants to break the party, we will be tough, we will be brutal.
Yes, alright, mbabuzaako mmwe abeekuumira ku mukutu gwa The UG Voice, The Pride of Uganda, naddala mwe abasubscribinga ate mmwe mukola kyamaanyi nnyo. Jjukira nagamba nti okusubscribinga kuba kwabwereere, kona mu kigambo ekyo subscribe obeere nga osubscribinga weegase ku family ya The UG Voice. Era kona kadde okagye personalized okateeke mu all obeere nga otegeezebwa buli oteekayo vidiyo empya. Nabagamba bw'okoona kadde n'okajja mu personalize n'okateeka mu all ogenda kuba otegeezebwa buli vidiyo empya obeere nga gwe asooka okumanya. Kale sijja kutukulisaawo naye ng'enkola yaffe bweri wano eno, njagala ka vidiyo osooka okampeereka like information esobole okusaasaana, kubanga nagamba nti bw'olikinga n'osharinga n'okomentinga information eno esaasaana ku buli muntu abeera agyetaaze. Ba NUP soldiers ne ba foot soldiers nabo mbasuubira okuba nga mulikinga ate nga musharinga. Sijja kukulisaawo mu mawulire genkuleetedde olwaleero. Nkongedde interview ya mwana mulenzi, sijja muyita mwana kuba musajja mukulu, ono nga ye Honorable Alex Wise Wamufumbiro, nga ono yamyuka omwogezi w'ekibiina kya National Platform ekikuzibwa Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. Ayongedde n'agezaako okumulisako ebyo byasuubira ebigenda okujja mu kaadi ya NUP. Baani abagenda ozifuna ogenda kuba obiraba mu maaso, ngenda kuba mukutuusaako na kibiina biki byekisuubira mu maaso awo, beera ngenda kuba mbikutuusaako awo. Naye nkusaba osooka olikinge, osharinge, okomentinge vidiyo esobole okutambula information esuke ku muntu aba agyetaaze.
Yeah. Well, internal party politics. Now, NUP is under the process of selecting folks who are going to have the flag for the party. Should we expect some surprises?
I'm not in the electoral commission, but I also want to say certain. I'll be surprised if I see certain things, and I don't want to say there will be surprises, but I know one thing, that you will have incumbents out. I'm certain about that. You'll have new members in. I am coming in for the first time, so it's going to be interesting. I believe. I'm also looking forward to what the electoral management committee is doing, and we will come and unpack it to the country. But I expect, personally also, I expect surprises. There are people I don't expect on the list this time, notwithstanding some of them being members of parliament.
Wow. Okay, that's a new one. Okay, now,
but that's
you, of course, thinking that you expect.
There are those I see that you've seen.
Absolutely.
I mean, the committee should not even take a lot of time on that.
Oh, I mean, Kaziwe Bashir Mbazil, I wouldn't be surprised.
No, he has no expression of interest. Let's not talk about
Absolutely. It. Okay. Now, when you talk about that, you know that if we have these surprises, some political parties are waiting on the door of NUP to grab one who is going to be denied, and then you know what's going to happen. They're going to be saying all these nasty things about the party. How are you prepared to handle those kind of situations? Because remember, during the Kawempe North by-elections, you had all these people swear that if we are defeated, if we are not given a card, we're not running. They ended up running. The likes of former PA to Honorable Segirinya, they let me his soul rest in peace. Then you have that gentleman Kasibante. All of these people, how are you prepared to handle that situation?
I'll be very brutal when that time comes. To whoever wants to break the party, we will be tough, we will be brutal.
All right, tough and brutal. Then, in a broader perspective, how about the conversations of opposition unity, a coalition of some sort? People have said, Ugandans are united. Why don't you folks come together to endorse one candidate?
The country has one candidate already. The people have decided already.
Yeah.
It's about the leaders not blackmailing the candidate in what they want to achieve when he's running for president. There has been a lot of intellectual dishonesty with our leaders who always make it very impossible to work before elections. But when it comes to time of choosing their positions, they want to use the cover of coalition so that they continue being in their spaces. That I don't think is right for the politics. I don't think that is right for the revolution. I think that, the coalition is about removing Museveni. The coalition is not about placements and positions. And I think the conversation is started from the wrong end. The conversation begins with placing people in positions rather than focusing on a methodology and modus operandi of toppling the system. And that is why I have a difference. That is why they have chosen to think that I am against the coalition. I think there has been a lot of intellectual dishonesty in people who have been at the forefront of this struggle, using election time always an opportunity for them to have a favor, not to be challenged by others. And yet, even in the opposition, there must be democracy. I can tell you, in National Unity Platform, our members of parliament are competing with other members of parliament, other desiring members who want to be in parliament, and yet they are not. I have just told you that personally I expect surprises in the list that will be cleared by the executive board after it has been submitted, a list has been submitted by the electoral management committee. So, we want to coordinate. You know, let me tell you something. When the election ended, it was our duty. The president personally wrote to all political parties desiring to have an interface. When we went to JEMA, it was an insult. They practically made it impossible for us to work with them. But then we had worked with them at the last tail of election. We have a scenario we need to discuss that NUP has not discussed. I think this, before we discuss going forward into coordinating with anybody, we must discuss it. We were given opportunity to coordinate with people even as we were moving in the election. You know that power was bought. But at the time when power was bought, the people who knew he was bought did not tell us that power had been bought by the system. They took us with power on the same table, brought Sebugwawo on the same table, and yet these people were already on table on behalf of Genome 7. So the NUP and Chagulanyi was put in a conundrum that in election time, his time was cheated by people who were already derailing him from becoming president. And those were leaders of the opposition. You know Joyce Sebugwawo. She chaired the last meeting in that presidential campaign.
Unbelievable.
On how to secure our victory.
Wow.
And yet the leadership of the FDC knew that these people had been compromised by the state with huge sums of money, some having been driven to a certain party leader, close to 300 million shillings. When did they tell us that? Years after. So we must abaganda bagamba seka ukakali kakulumwa. Kakati fe tulivere tutya okwate subiri ya Uganda okulyambaza ebintu ebiyinza okuvaamu bwe bityo.
Wow. Now that's a bombshell. Bombshell, yeah. An amazing explanation.
Let me tell you.
Wow.
Abana be basiba. Nga tukoze coalition ya fuwa firimbi kube ngombe. Kuba kasepichi. NUP be twatula ne bannaffe nga tuva ku Afrikana twakanya bikolebwe. Dayola be kibina kye kyavayo ne kibikola. Bani abasimbe bitoke bani abatasimba bitoke. So we have tried. That's why we are basing our facts on those, the people, but also on the leaders that we believe have the honesty to do the right thing, rather than the intellectual dishonest of remaining in their positions as the country servers with the dictatorship.
Wow. You and I have these caps and they have people power, our power as a slogan. One of my friends who is a big supporter of the president, Robert Chagulanyi Ssentamu, but at the same time a critique of his party, Hilary Taylor, has said that if the political party is entrenched and is built on the foundation of people, we should have primaries, not a selection of a group of a few people selecting.
Taylor is right.
Yep.
But he is not aware of the environment that we operate. You see, we are operating as a militia outfit, as described by the system. So they don't give us the leeway to operate freely and democratically. That is why we still have a lot of work to do. Let me tell you, just our constitution has not been passed. But do you know why? Because it has articles that talk about term limits, age limits, among others, on all positions of the National Unity Platform, not even of Uganda. But now the constitution of the National Unity Platform is looked at like the constitution of Uganda. That is why those who stole Uganda don't even want to pass a constitution of a political party because of its magnanimity. So the challenge that people must understand, just having the delegates conference, it was out of rubber-dubber style, but it was on its way to being stopped. In fact, the ruling of court was that the matter of stopping the delegates conference had been overtaken by events. That is why we are able now to progress. Otherwise, Chagulanyi would not even be here as president of the National Unity Platform, because they were going to stop it through the court's process. You know, they can easily work it around their way. You know, the judge is Chinobe. Chinobe, the man I argued with on TV about legal issues. Now that's the man who want to adjudicate against us. So we need to be up the game to understand what we are dealing with. That's why we try to use methodologies that will give us power, but also not allow infiltration by the state.
And it is very, 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 very.
But then the 60% is a determination by the people. The 40% is by the vetting system, where you're asked about the party, the quality of your character, what you stand for. But the most important thing people must understand, being anchored on the people power, is that we go back and get the 60 from the population.
Yeah, one of the politicians in Uganda has argued that it is rather nonsensical to go into an election without electoral reforms. Former leader of opposition, Matthias Mpuuga, said it is nonsensical. And of recent, he was hosted on NBS, where he said that when he raised that point, arguments that were pulling down his argument were rather stupid and stuff like that. Do you think we need to have reforms?
Is his party going to agitate for political reforms rather than an election? Or it is now preparing for an election? So sometimes dense people get platform and they sound bright. But when you interrogate them, they are really very dense.
Okay, that's a quick one.
Because he's himself organizing for elections. Now, what does he say? The challenge is not reforms. And Mr. Mpuuga is probably so underscored that he forgets what we have been doing over time. But there's what we call the Citizens Compact of Africana. That should inform him that these people are not looking at doing what is right. They picked only one reform, the reform of having a judge as head of the Electoral Commission, and they went for a cadre judge. So it's not the reforms, it's the character of those in power that we must look at. They do not want democracy. They are not agitators of human rights. They are looking around on their longevity in power, and therefore they only run around the laws to keep themselves in power, even when it is illegal. I mean, we beat these people in the 2021 election without the reforms. Why would one be pessimistic and the prophet of doom that we cannot beat them now? When we beat them, he was his commissioner because we beat them. That's what gave him that position. He was low because we beat them. And secondly, first things first. The reasoning he brought up that was to cover up for the mess they had done in Parliament. I don't think he deserves the moral fiber to speak about reforms when he himself abused the law when they allocated themselves money of the taxpayers. So somebody who used the law to abuse the law and earn 500 million from the taxpayers' docket, then that person has no locus standi to speak about reforms because he himself needs reform.
Oh my God. Well, I should be letting you go, but before I do, NRM has over 300 members of parliament and the NUP has only 57. People have said it doesn't make any sense if we are going to compete against these people that have the numerical strength, that probably we should boycott or not even have members of parliament in there, or find ways of how we can probably come close to 100 and something or 200. What do you think?
Numbers matter, but also quality matters. As they speak about the numbers, NUP has the best quality. And for me, that is the first yardstick, the kind of people that we want to be the representation of us. We are going to produce more of that quality because we have now produced the capacity. Parliament is the third arm of government. This time round, every position, we are working day and night to see that they tussle it out and we get liberated as a people. Yeah, so we're not scared. We're going to find candidates.
On a